Hello and welcome to the final one. This is the last video cam video lecture of the semester, and what we will do in this discussion is look at a few more components of the integrated marketing communications mix. And more specifically, we'll talk briefly about direct marketing, we'll talk about sales promotion, and then we will talk about personal selling. And so it's interesting. It's interesting. This whole concept is interesting because when I took my Principles of Marketing course, direct marketing was not considered a separate type of marketing communication. It kind of, it didn't talk much about it, but it is, in the last 40 years, basically 35 years, direct marketing has assumed a much more important role in marketing communications, and now it's generally recognized as a kind of a standalone component of the integrated marketing communications mix. And because direct marketing is relatively new, particularly compared with something like advertising or personal selling, the definitions or the definition of direct marketing isn't agreed upon. So I'm gonna present a definition of direct marketing, but I want you to recognize that if you were to go and look up uh, definitions for direct marketing, you might find multiple definitions that don't really seem to align with the one that I'm going to present. So one I'm going to present is that direct marketing refers to activities by which the seller um, directs efforts to a target audience using one or more media to solicit a response by phone, mail, the internet, or personal visit by a prospective customer. So again, direct marketing refers to activities by which the seller directs efforts to a target audience using one or more media to select a response by phone, mail, the internet, or personal visit by a prospective customer. And one of the things with direct marketing that kind of differentiates it, and we talk about a target audience, or the definition talks about a target audience, is basically rather than trying to appeal to everybody, direct marketing has narrowed the target to some segment or segments, and even further potentially in an individual. Okay, and when we know with kind of some of the stuff that we see now, that you see, that I see, is that there are things that are directed, that are targeted strictly to an individual person, so that because I have the contemporary logistics book, I will get blurbs from Amazon because it knows that I have searched, looked at the book online to see, how it's selling and things of that nature. I'll get blurbs periodically from Amazon saying, hey, there's this contemporary logistics book out there. My hunch is you're not getting, if you visit the Amazon website, you're not getting the same kind of thing. And this brings up a really key aspect of direct marketing, at least direct marketing as it exists in the second decade of the 21st century. And that's the idea that databases have become extremely important to direct marketing. And so there's a lot of emphasis on database and database management, particularly because the better the database, the more you know about a particular group, the more you know about individual customers, conceptually the better job of marketing that can be done to encourage the person to make a purchase by or get a response by phone, mail, the internet, or personal visit to by a prospective customer. The book points out that there are four primary methods of direct marketing: direct mail, catalog marketing, email, and mobile marketing. And obviously, the two are longer standing ones are direct mail and catalog marketing with email and um, mobile marketing being much newer. The nice thing about email and mobile marketing is they're much better at building and maintaining relationships than our direct mail or catalog marketing. So that's a brief overview of direct marketing. And there's a lot of stuff that's that's going on with direct marketing. Second thing we talk about is sales promotion. And you say, oh God, you're not going to talk about when, yeah, I'm going to talk about when I took my Principles of Marketing course back in the spring of 1977. And when I took my Principles of Marketing course back in the spring of 1977, sales promotion was kind of the catch-all category. There was no formal definition of sales promotion. It's just that if marketing communication or marketing promotion wasn't advertising, wasn't personal selling, wasn't public relations, then by default it was sales promotion. Uh, the world's a little different now, and so there's a more technical definition than, gee, if it's not those things, it's this for sales promotion, and that's that sales promotion refers to short-term incentives to encourage the sale of a product. So now sales promotion is defined as short-term incentives designed to encourage the sale of a product. And the key thing, and this was mentioned back in the previous discussion of integrated marketing communications, the thing with sales promotion is that, again, it has a short-term orientation, and sales promotion is not only about buying, but it's about buying now. So what sales promotion is trying to do is stimulate kind of immediate purchase of a product. And there's a lot of different kinds of sales promotion. We'll only talk about two of them. One is what is known as product sampling. That's not the same thing as the sampling that we talked about with marketing research. Product is product sampling refers to free distribution of a product to facilitate future sales. So if you go into a grocery store, particularly on weekends like Saturdays and Sundays, they'll have a lot of testing stations set up where somebody will be there and they'll have maybe a Ritz cracker and some cheese, and they'll say, hey, there's a new kind of cheese, or there's a new flavor of Ritz crackers, and that would be an example of product sampling. Another example of product sampling would be sometimes when new cereals come out. I know that you used to get little boxes of cereals. That's an example of product sampling as well. And there's a lot of things associated with product sampling. One of which is it can be really expensive. First of all, you got to in many cases you have to package the product, right? If you're coming out with a new shampoo, you've got to come up with a bottle, small bottle, for the shampoo to fit in. If you're distributing cereal, you need small boxes for the cereal. And then you need the product to go in it. And that creates another challenge, because one of the marketers, one of the dilemmas with product sampling is the marketer doesn't want to kind of give too little of the product, because then the prospective customer won't get a sense for how the product tastes or how the product works. But on the other hand, the marketer doesn't want to give too much of the product, because the more of a free sample that a person gets, the longer it is potentially before that person buys the product. So there's a real, there's an interesting trade-off between, what's kind of the right size of product. But again, product sampling can be really expensive, and marketers have this dilemma of exactly, how much should we give the customer to use or to taste or whatever. Second thing we're going to look at is coupons. And coupons refer to a certificate that give buyers a saving when purchasing a product. And the coupons are often used with products that are in the mature phase of the product life cycle. And so, if you think about kind of the coupons that you have been exposed to or that you've used, oftentimes they're not for newer products. They're for products or businesses that have been that are pretty well established. There have been tremendous technological advances in couponing. I mean, traditionally, couponing was, oh boy, here comes the Sunday paper, and there's a whole series of coupons, and mom or dad or both might sit there with a scissors and clip out the coupons. They've number of years ago, retailers said, hey, let's do away with let's come up with a new form. So they started putting the coupons near the products that the coupons were being used with. That worked real well until some kids some younger kids, going to the store is fun, right? And you've probably seen it, or maybe you did it yourself. Just start pulling all the coupons out that are hanging from the shelf. That doesn't really help the sales of product. Increasingly, there's mobile coupons, the coupons that are sent to mobile phones or cell phones. And as was pointed out in an earlier discussion, the marketing in the 2010s, there's a much higher redemption rate that are associated with the mobile coupons than with other forms of couponing. And again, the coupon is kind of like the dilemma for the marketers is, okay, so what kind of price savings should I offer? If I only offer 5 cents off on the purchase of $1 product, is that really going to be sufficient incentive? On the other hand, if I offer 50 cents off on $1 product, a lot of people are going to redeem. A lot of people are probably going to redeem the coupon, but then I'm maybe not going to make a whole lot of money on the couponing. So we've talked briefly about direct marketing, we've talked briefly about couponing, and the final thing that we will look at is personal selling. And again, this is something that's changed pretty dramatically since I took my Principles of Marketing course back in spring of 1977. And so personal selling can be defined as personal presentation by a firm's sales force for the purpose of making sales and building customer relationships. So again, personal presentation by a firm's sales force for the purpose of making sales and building customer relationships. And one of the big differences from when I took my Principles of Marketing course was those last 3 words: building customer relationships. Personal selling, when I took my Principles of Marketing course, it was all about selling, right? You want to make sales. You want to get people to buy the product. But there wasn't anything about, okay, what happens next? And so today's view of personal selling is, we not want to buy products, but we want to build customer relationships, and we'll talk about that a little later on. And so what I want to focus on with personal selling is the personal selling process, and the process that I'm going to talk about differs. It's a little different than the one the book talks about. I've used this one. I feel comfortable with the one that I'm going to give you guys. Doesn't mean that the one in the book is wrong. It's just I'm not as comfortable with that one as I am with the one that I'm going to present to you. So the first phase in the personal selling process is something known as prospecting, and that's referred to, or that's defined as, where an organization identifies qualified potential customers. And the key there is not just identifying customers, right, or potential customers. The key is identifying qualified potential customers. So to give you an example, I'd really like to have a Lamborghini, right? I think Lamborghinis are wonderful cars. It is just a slight problem. I can't afford a Lamborghini, okay? And it's not likely anytime in the near future that I'm going to be able to buy a Lamborghini. So, if a Lamborghini salesperson is looking for a prospective customer, the good news is I'd like to have a Lamborghini. The bad news is I can't afford it. So that's what kind of we mean by, qualified customers, because, you think about it, you can identify customers, but if you spend a lot of time pursuing customers who ultimately won't purchase the product because they can't purchase the product, then you really haven't done a whole lot. You've taken a lot of time, but you haven't necessarily used corporate resources in the most efficient way. Once the prospecting is done, there's what's known as pre-approach, and this is where the salesperson or the organization learns about a prospective customer. And this is the doing the homework. You'll learn about the companies that you might be interested in doing business with, right? And so, for example, for you guys, many of you are going to be interviewing for jobs. So, once you get ready to graduate from John Carroll, the pre-approach in your perspective is before you actually have the interview with the company. You want to learn something about the company or the organization that you're going to be interviewing with. And the thing today is, it's a lot easier to come up with or to learn about prospective customers than it was in the past, because of advances in technology and how readily available information is. Once the pre-approach, and you don't have to do the pre-approach. I mean, you can just skip from prospecting to an approach. But the approach is where it's the initial meeting between the salesperson and the prospective customer, and this is really important because it's the old saying that you don't get a second chance at a first impression. And then in the years that I've been at John Carroll, I've had lunches and I've had dinners with a number of companies that have come here to recruit students in the Bowler School, and it's absolutely stunning the number of recruiters who have said to me that they make a decision on a job candidate within the first 30 seconds of the meeting. He said, that's not fair. I don't care whether it's fair or not. So things like what's the candidate's appearance? Does the candidate have a firm handshake? Does a candidate make eye contact? All these things, right, that generally occur early on. And like I said, a lot of recruiters that I've talked with within 30 seconds, right? And so again, here's the thing, the approach is kind of, okay, there's this initial meeting because you haven't kind of gotten to the next stage of the personal selling process, which is the presentation. And so if somebody in the first 30 seconds is basically of meeting, right, if a salesperson or prospective customer, right, if the prospective customer within 30 seconds of the first meeting goes, I don't want to do business with this salesperson, the process is done, right? And so the initial meeting, the approach is really, really important. Presentation follows the approach, and this is where the salesperson tells the sales story to the buyers and indicates how the salesperson's organization can help solve the organization or the buyer's issues. Okay, so it shouldn't be all about the salesperson. It shouldn't be all about the product, right? Again, what you're trying to do is, the reason that people buy things is that there's, again, let's go back to the consumer behavior model where it's like we have need recognition. Actual and desired states aren't in alignment, right? So if you keep that in mind from a selling perspective, personal selling perspective, basically, yes, your organization has products, but those products are meant to solve issues that an organization has, right? Why would an organization, for example, why would an organization buy new furniture, right? It's not because they want new furniture. It's because somebody's made a decision that, you know what, for whatever reason, the furniture that we have now isn't cutting it. Maybe it's got holes in it. Maybe it's just not fashionable anymore. And so the presentation should emphasize how the organization's products and how the organization can help solve the buyer's problems. Inevitably, with presentations, there are going to be objections. And the next phase of the personal selling process is known as handling objections. And this is where a salesperson will seek out, clarify, and attempt to overcome objections that the buyer has. Now, frequently, an objection has to do with price, right? I can't afford it. Okay, so you're the salesperson. What do you do? Oh, that's too bad. You can't afford it. So maybe you come up with, well, can we do some financing? Can we, are there ways that, can you put some money down? I mean, those are the kinds of things, right? And sometimes what buyers are doing is buyers are actually testing the salespeople. Sometimes buyers will put up objections just to see if the salesperson can get out of his or her comfort zone and go and think a little bit outside the box, right? So handling objections. Assuming that we've gotten through all the handling objections, then the next phase is closing the sale. Some salespeople are really not good at closing the sale, which refers to getting a firm commitment from the buyer. It's the old sign on the dotted line, right? So, you handle the objections. Are there ways that you can, are there ways that you as the salesperson can seal the deal? I had a former student when I was in the doctoral program. This guy, he was not the brightest student I've ever had, but boy, could he interview well. And I remember that he got a job offer, and the company that was interviewing him said, you know, how badly do you want this job? And the student looked at him and said, I want this job so badly I'll work for you for 3 months for free. And the company was blown away. They had never had an answer like that, right? Because oh yeah, I really want this job. This job means everything to me. I want this job really, really badly. And here's a kid said, I'll work for you for 3 months for free. Right on the spot, they said, you're not going to have to. You got the job, right? So how do you overcome these objections, right? So and close the sale. Get the firm commitment from the buyer. That's not where things end. There's a follow-up. Contacting the buyer after the sale. Your book talks about relationship selling, and that again goes back to the definition that we started this out with. That personal selling involves building customer relationships. Relationship selling is the idea that you attempt to build relationships with customers. My wife is an audiologist. Okay, she's a wonderful audiologist, and what she does is for all of her patients, she collects a bunch of personal information. Right? Birthday, days that married, how many kids they have, when the kids' birthdays are, and my wife will send them cards on their birthday, on their anniversary, whatever. Okay, it's not come in and buy a hearing aid from me or let me check your hearing, but that's the kind of thing that increasingly helps organizations build and maintain relationships with customers. So this one went a little long too, but not as long as the previous one. So I hope you've enjoyed these online video lectures, and I hope you've learned some stuff in this class, and hopefully we'll meet face to face. See ya.